those of you that saw the video I did of the Malvern show, part of the clips was introducing this new thing, the Urbalive wormery from Wiggly Wigglers, and I did a clip with Heather, the owner, together with Terry Walton. After I'd finished doing the filming, Heather came up to speak to me and asked me who I was filming for, and as I told her I got a YouTube channel, she then kindly offered to send me one of these to do a review on the channel. This has not been sponsored by Wiggly Wigglers at all, it's just been sent free of charge for me to do a honest review, so here goes. Comes in a decent sized box with carrying handles you'd need it because there's a fair bit of weight in here, so let's just start with opening. As you can see, it's a fairly comprehensive bit of kit. Got a very good instruction book, well detailed with photographs and line diagrams how to assemble it. And that. The kit here is comprised of 3 main chambers. This part collects the vermicompost and also the liquid. There's a drain tap to go on the bottom. To lift this up, there's 4 wooden legs which go in and screw from the inside. And I'll just undo that. There's a little filter tray here to keep everything above the top. Back on these, and these 2 are basically interchangeable. You feed it in here, then as this fills up, you start feeding in the top, and the worms will actually crawl up into here after the food, and then you can remove that and swap them over, and that's the way it keeps rotating. You do get supplied with a coir brick, which will need a good soaking as well. And there's a bag here of lovely red wrigglers. I can disturb the guys in here. You can just probably see inside there. There's plenty of those to go. Look at them. They don't like the sunshine, but there's a. So I'm in there. There's a sticky fly trap, a pair of gloves, and a scoop. Some worm treat, 2 kilograms of that. And there we got some anti-acid lime mix. Before we start the assembly of the legs, reading on the instructions here, we've got this coir block, and it says there you need to half fill a bucket with warm water and put the bedding block into there. And it says as the bedding soaks up the water, it begins to break up into an even mix. It should take about an hour, so we'll start doing that first before we do the building the legs. We'll put the block into the bucket. This here is just normal tap water, run it under the hot tap so it is warm, it's not red hot, and that will just go into there, sink it down, it'll soak a bit, then it'll start to expand and break. So while that's doing that, I'll put that under the bench and we can carry on with the fixing the legs. The fitting of the legs is quite easy. They just simply push into these recesses here and then retained by these 4 screws which I'm supplied in a plastic bag. That's the 4 legs put in with the screws. What we'll do now, we've got this drain tap, and this screws into the bottom of the sump here. It's already threaded the bases, so all you do, you just screw the tap in. The legs are secured by the screws going into the inside of the leg, and that there keeps them in place. Just while we're down here, look at the tap here. That's a nice snug fit in there, screwed into the base, but what I did, I put just a dab of silicone just under the inside, on the slightest amount, screw it in, just to let it squeeze around, and that there will definitely provide a watertight seal and save that valuable worm juice. With the 4 legs securely fixed and the drain tap in place, it's next to fit this little moisture mat. It has 2 little handy tags here, what you can pull it up as and when required, and that there just rests on the top, nice and steady, and now it's ready for the residents. That's the sump all sorted now. These 2 working trays are identical. and they do actually swap around as you get in use. So all we need at the moment is one, and then we'll put some coir in, a little load of coir, and then move on to moving the worms out of the bag into the new hole. Well, an hour has passed and the coir looks about ready, so what the book suggests doing is using about half of this and putting it into the tank. I suggest about 2 inches will do. I'll just spread it out very evenly. That's the bedding put into place, and what they do suggest is a couple of inches. I put a couple of inches and there's still plenty left, and they actually suggest using it as a potting compost. Anyway, back into this bed now. It's time to produce the residence, and just into this bag. And as you can see, there's hundreds of wiggly wigglers, we'll call them. Look at those, the beauties. Spread them all about nice and evenly. And another good tip which is suggested in the instructions is to leave the lid off a while, because the worms being light sensitive, it'll cause them to bury down into the compost. So I'll leave that off for a while and let them get back down under the ground. Well, the last few worms are diving for cover. I'll just have a quick word about these 2 additional bags, both 2 kilograms each. This one is called anti-acid lime mix, and what it does, they suggest using this every couple of weeks, an handful. It's pelleted form, just like chicken manure, you know. This swells up, it stops all smells, white worm and anything like that, flies, and also it tends to soak up any excess moisture in there. It's also a good idea, once you start getting the vermicompost out, just to take the pH, if you've got a pH meter, and what we're aiming for is a neutral 7. The second bag in the mix is it's called worm treats. Again, another pelleted mix. This time, this is like nutrients for the worms, and it does also soak moisture up like the other ones as well. So I suggest again, a handful of this every couple of weeks. All worms have took a dive, so now it's time to add the food. This is just a few kitchen scraps I got, which is vegetable peelings. Also got shredded junk mail, really. It is, that's good, but don't use glossy paper. The other thing you can use is the corrugated cardboard, ripped up. Obviously the finer you chop this up, the better it is for the worms. So I'll mix that. The other thing I'll be adding is I'm going to add a couple of handfuls of volcanic rock dust. That will help with the worms' digestion. And the other thing I tend to give my worms is I treat them with some handful of porridge oats. Just mix all that up nicely. And spread that evenly over the top of the Now this will take quite a while to rot down until the worms get fully active. Final thing to add is this moisture mat. That just places over the top. I have actually put this under the tap and wet it and wrung it out, but it is damp. Then all that's left now is to add the lid. So the that'll stay like that. The worms will keep working it down and keep topping it up. This second lid doesn't come into play until the moisture, the level of the composting material to go is up high, and when you put that in, the contents must be touching the bottom, because the worms climb off the compost and into the top of this. So that won't be going into play for quite a while. So that's it. One final thing is the sighting. Be careful where you sight it, because ideally you want it somewhere early morning, it'll catch the sun to warm the bin up to get the worms in action. At the same time, you don't want it in sun during midday, because it'll actually cook the worms. So you need to find a happy medium. So that's the worm composter. We'll see how that goes, and we'll report back later on.